Pokémon Legends ZA sucks! Worst game I've ever played in 2025 or ever in my entire life. Well, that's what the internet is saying. I will admit there are plenty of problems with the game, but I do believe that this game is just generic. With that being said, this video will be the second part of my discussion on Legends ZA. I'm going to be highlighting what parts of the game I do not want back in the series. Not in a million years. So stay right where you are, right here, right now. You are watching The Average Joe Show. Let's go talk about what I hate about this stupid game. Alright, fellow basement gamer dwellers, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all have been doing very, very well. I've been doing alright, but as I said in the intro for today's video, we are going to be talking about what I really don't want Pokemon to bring over from Legends ZA into basically Gen 10. Right at this point, Generations 10 is probably right around the corner if we really sit down and think about it. And I was thinking there's some not great things about it that stand out to me that they need to take a look at and say we really can't bring this, whether it's like a game mechanic or just visual mechanic, we just can't bring it into the next generation. It's not going to move us forward, it's only going to set us back. So what do I mean by that? Well, the first thing that I do not want to see to be brought back is the battle system. Now, the battle system is designed because of the flow of the game. What do I mean by that? Well, it's no longer turn-based. So basically, all of the moves have unique cooldowns, and most of the moves are actual moves in, past games. But instead of using PP, the power points, to, and the turn-based mechanics, it's going for like a cooldown, and when you use that move, it might be a couple seconds before you can use it again. And you can use any of the moves in any of the orders, basically, and it's really interesting because there are times when you're battling where, like, if you choose to send out your next Pokemon or like switch someone out and the opponent decides to attack you, when you send out that new Pokemon, that Pokemon's going to get damaged. So it's basically just a real-time battle system, battle mechanic, basically. I think they chose to do this because of how many battles you are doing in the game itself. There are a ton of battles because of the Battle Royale mechanic, and I would say that I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm fine with like the real-time mechanics part. What I'm not okay with is how fast the battles are. In some cases, it feels like rock, paper, scissors, where if you just decide to throw out this random, sequence of moves, you just automatically win. You're mowing down Pokemon so fast, it almost feels like you're button mashing. If I wanted to button mash, I'd play a Warriors game, but it just feels very unnatural in Pokemon, in my opinion, and it almost feels like there's no counter. Like I have seen some interesting ideas where if you leech seed someone and then just decide to run around the map, the leech seed the status will basically cause the Pokemon, if you can't catch up with the speed of the Pokemon, to faint. And that's just a weird mechanic, as you're running around to dodge attacks and stuff, especially if it's really not meant, like Pokemon's not meant to really be like a stall. I mean, you can stall in like regular battles, but it's not meant to be like a OP kind of strategy to do. Speaking of status moves, I feel like just like they're not as, I'll say it, I think they're lazy. If you're paralyzed or confused, it kind of just slows down your cooldown, and you could still use all those moves. It just, and sleep as well. You can still use those moves, and if you're burned, you can still use the moves, and you constantly take damage. Stuff like that. So it's very simplified. The whole battle system is simplified to a point where I don't really care for it. I don't understand. The other thing I don't understand is why certain Megastones for Greninja, Chestnut, and Delphox are locked behind this competitive ranked online thing. I don't really want to do it just because I know that there's going to, the people that are doing the competitive stuff, there's just going to be set Pokemon that have a set moveset that are just going to be spam heavy and better than, other combos. and it just doesn't. I don't understand why we're locking Mega Stones behind it. It's just very, very strange. And like I said, it's simplified. I think they simplified it too much. I did enjoy Legends Arceus' style because it still maintained the turn-based mechanics. And I think this game, what I will say is that it is very cool, you know, to be moving around with your Pokemon in battle. And I think it's kind of cool that some attacks can hit in real time, but they're gonna have to modify this significantly going into the mainline series, because you have to think about, if you think about it, that, you know, you have your Pokemon's holding items, you have status moves that don't work, like the cooldown method, and abilities. You know, abilities aren't in this game, and I think just because in the mainline you have abilities, I just don't think it's gonna work as well. Like I said earlier, I think this was because, you know, there's a ton of battles you have to do in this, and they just wanted to get it done. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this battling system. I am a fan of like the Mega Evolutions and stuff, but definitely not the battle system itself. And then I would also say another negative thing, well, not a negative thing, another thing I don't want to see Game Freak do is basically only limit us to one main area. And you would hope that, you know, in the next generation that they would have, you know, like multiple towns, multiple places to be, multiple ecosystems. I found it very weird that they decided to just only develop Luminous City, and that is the only place you can go. In X and Y, in Generation 6, there is a lot of different type of routes. You know, like there was a pretty diverse selection of backgrounds. You could go to the coast and walking over like rock walls and stuff, and there would be like a fairy garden or like a spooky forest where you could go get like a Gorgeist or something like that. And in this game, they just focused in on one city, which is Luminous City, which granted, it is a very important city in X and Y. But if you really think about it, our Generation 6 is beautiful. You know, it's based off of Paris, right? It's based off of that area. And I think they missed the mark. I mean, what is cool about it is that, you know, it's fully developed, right? It's a huge city, which biggest city that we've actually been in, you know, Pokemon in, right? However, you know, a lot of it just looks the same. You know, windows all over the place, buildings you really can't walk into, and it just kind of feels like they were just kind of copy and pasting, which is really weird. If they were doing that, right, you would think that they could develop more areas. Like, let's talk about some secondary areas that are actually in the game, which I really enjoyed. You had the sewers, where you had to go in and find the, you know, like one of the main characters in. You had Team Flare's old base, which got overrun by other wild Pokemon. Another cool spot to go back and revisit. And in terms of Team Flare's hideout, they really did like kind of like match what was in Gen 6, which was really cool to see. Even if it was just like kind of like in Legends Arceus, where you just had to like teleport to the spot from like the like Jubilife City to the wild zones. Even if it was just that, and you would go to some of like the other places in X and Y, I feel like that would have been much better. One of my biggest fears actually in the game was that we were only going to be able to go into Luminous City, right? And I think the expectation, and I don't know if Game Freak understands, this is the new expectation going into the next generation of Pokemon, is that when you're making these games open world, our expectation is that each city is in fact the size of Luminous City is in this game. And whether they like it or not, other games, other bigger games have, and smaller games, have created much larger maps with a ton of other things to do, and more importantly, fully develop these cities, right? These towns, and they make every part of it feel like there's something to do. And that's where Luminous City does fall flat. Like, there are a bunch of cool areas in it, but there's nothing to do in a lot of those areas. And our expectation moving forward is to have a grandiose Pokemon Gen 10 adventure with multiple large cities. Now, if they were to remake, I'm just speculating, guys. If we were to get black and white remakes, and each of the cities were as big as Luminous City, we would all lose our minds, right? Especially if they included how they have all the wild Pokemon on the overworld right now. Like, the overworld Pokemon feel super natural. The wild zones don't feel very natural. They just feel kind of placed there. And honestly, in this game, it would be better if the wild zones were actually outside of Luminous City, but we didn't get so lucky. So, you know, moving forward, I think Game Freak really needs to like take Luminous City and multiply it by 5. If they can do that into the next generation of Pokemon, you'll see a lot more fans happier with the outcome of the game. And leading into my last point I wanted to talk about, which I kind of mentioned in that last statement, was things to do. These side quests in this game just feel like you catch a Pokemon, you give it to somebody. You talk to someone, then you have to battle them. Or you have to battle them with a specific Pokemon. Or you can literally just follow a Pokemon and then you're done. These side quests, and Pokemon has never been good at making these side quests ever since Sword and Shield. It's a whole lot of nothing. I feel like it's just a bunch of time wasting. The way that they decided to set this up was to give you a crap ton of side quests, and they didn't really like fine tune any of them. There hasn't been a side quest, you know, in this game where I can actually remember, and the rewards are actually good. So basically, there's probably over 100 and probably like 20, I don't know the exact count, side quests, apart from the main line. So far, there's about 40 mainline quests. The mainline quests are fine, but you don't get any rewards. It's just progressing the story. If you do side quests in this game, you get some money, and you get basically battle items or something for your Pokemon to hold or something like that. And they're very short. They could potentially take you less than a minute, and they are just very bare bones. It's like they took AI and said, make me 120 side quests and put it into Chat GPT, and they called it a day. I really wish, like, what they don't understand about open world games is that, let's take Xenoblade Chronicles for example. Xenoblade Chronicles has a lot of side quests, but there are very memorable side quests, which then also allows you to generally unlock either a weapon that you are going to use throughout the game, or a character that you could potentially use throughout the game. You get none of that, right? Like, you get items that you could just buy in a store in some of these side quests. And one thing I will say is that it helps, you know, get you moving around all the map, because the map is pretty big in terms of like, where do I go next? Like, it kind of helps you see more of the map. But I mean, that's about it. I mean, they are nothing. It's a whole big nothing burger, in my opinion. And they really gotta just like stop making everything generic. And unfortunately, like, that is like the biggest problems that I've been having with Legends ZA, is that they are kind of, the 3 things I just talked about in this video is that they're trying to make it super generic, right? Which leads me to not have great hopes, especially when open world games need depth. They need creativity. They need stories that I need to remember for me to go back and play. Now, I enjoy Legends ZA. There are a lot of aspects that I would really want them to bring over into the next generation, and they tend to be like some of those finer details. But a lot of the things that I think that are main focuses of this game, they should not bring over into the next generation, which is really weird, right? Why do you excel at all like the small detail stuff, but then you drop the ball on, like, you know, the city, the battle system, and like side quests? Like, how did you possibly do that? I think the story is fine. I think the story is better than Scarlet and Violet, and that might be an unpopular take, but I really do believe that. And they got some work to do, you know. Hopefully moving into the next generation, since we have the new competitive Pokemon Showdown type game coming out. I can't remember what the name, Pokemon Coliseum Part 2. I don't know what you guys want me to call it, but there are things in this game that they need to take. There are things that they have to cut out as well. I don't think the game is bad. I think it is so standard. It is your average Pokemon game. And if you like Pokemon in general, you're just going to like it. I don't know why everybody was so up in arms. I think there was probably a lot of people that have never played Pokemon or have stepped back in because of all the Pokemon hype. and they were disappointed with the game, which, you know, I don't have to fault you for that. So anyway, guys, those are some of the things I hope Pokemon does not ever bring back to the mainline series. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget, if you haven't already, be subscribed to the channel. I do video game discussions. I open cards sometimes. This is basically like a one-stop shop for all of us adult nerds. Yes, we do exist. And I just try to put out content that, you know, you guys can listen to on your very busy days. And I appreciate all of you that do take time to listen to the videos, watch the videos, however you want to say it, and leave comments down below. And speaking of which, why don't you just leave a comment down below on what you don't like about this game. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching the Average Joe Show, and I hope you have a great one wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.